Welcome to Whispers from the Inn, an unofficial Warcrow production. Join your Innkeepers as they discuss all things Warcrow, the tabletop miniatures combat game by Corvus Belli.
Greetings, everybody. We have the entire gang here with us tonight. We've got Scott, we've got Jake, we've got JP, and we've got me, Jason. How is everybody doing? It's been a minute.
It has been doing good. Doing real good. Cubs are moving on, so I'm happy.
Yep. That'll give you a clue as to what night we recorded this. So if it posts a week late, well, we can't hide that. So,
and if some of us are sad in the next episode, hopefully,
it's all good. It's all good.
I'll tip that off.
Yeah, it's been a little bit. Life has lifed. I've been coaching football like mad and haven't had a whole lot of time. But sounds like some people have tried to get some Warcrow games in and have not. It's fall. I know Jake's back to teaching and back to working, and so are we all. So life moves on. So how has everybody been doing? How's their Warcrow hunger brewing?
All-time high, because Jake has scheduled our first Chicagoland tournament coming up in November, so I'm really excited for it. I spent a whole bunch of time assembling, and we'll talk about that in a second about what's on the hobby desk, and just getting ready to paint it up so we can hopefully bring at least semi-painted to the table.
It's always a goal, isn't it?
It is.
I spent the last month redesigning my paint desk.
It took you a month?
It's a process.
It's a big desk.
Dude, you cannot tell me. I've been working on my hobby room for all summer long, and I swear it has not changed one little bit.
No, I think I saw baseboard.
There's floor. Absolutely, there's floor. But we've gone to how much stuff needs to stay in the closet? How much needs to go to the garage? It's a whole thing.
The tournament, like Scott mentioned, running the tournament, it's a lot like when you're a kid and you go on a field trip, and now that I'm a teacher, I have to schedule the field trip, and it's way more. Or like a dissection for me, I'm a science teacher. It's way more not as fun on the other side. But it is fun, but I say it with I can't just show up. I'm I am the guy responsible for having all the things. I have to contact all the people, and I have to make sure this.
You just can't show up. All right. Well, Jake is going to take us on our next item.
Yeah, speaking of JP and a hobby table, what have you all been working on? What are some things you've been building or hopefully painting? What have you been doing?
So we have started working on converting our guest bedroom back into a craft and hobby space, including all new furniture, and then relocating all of the stuff that has been in storage in there into other locations. Hopefully in the next week or so, I'll be able to get my airbrush out finally and actually get paint on models again.
Nice.
Do you have a number of the first thing you want to work on?
Feudum.
Okay, that's a good choice. I support that. Yeah.
I'm the lone non-Feudum player here.
It's all right. There always needs to be one heretic.
There does. But I play it. I've been playing everything, so
I
don't think I
have been playing everything, but Feudum isn't in my top one or two.
I don't know that I have a one or two right now, which is why I have a problem.
We all do. I also have not everything that's been released, but enough of each faction to play them.
Yes,
for all the current factions.
I'm in the same boat. I do have to start tapering off, though. There is a budget that needs to be upheld, and it's come to that time, unfortunately. But my project is I just finished the Song of Dormant box last Friday. Actually, Sunday morning, I put the last model together so I could get it ready for a demo game with a local Sunday afternoon. And we played with the first scenario, which is Super fun. I would recommend if anybody plays that scenario to read it first and fully understand how to do the scenario because it can be a little tricky. Um, there's a lot of things more so than even I would say even tournament play, which is the storyline is what makes the game fun. So that was awesome. Tonight before we started recording, I started and have almost finished the Beyond box as well. So
That's pretty good.
holy, well,
Aren't those anointed? The anointed are nice to put together.
they're gorgeous. And we will say that the material is amazing, but I think everybody knows by now that that is the case. It makes it go together really fast. Holy, here's my thing. I'm not sure where I am overall with Warcrow as a game, a tournament game. To me, right now, it doesn't matter because the models are just stunning. And like the anointed, holy, just it's all looks so good. I will say the Siocast, in my opinion, has been better this round. Things have gone together a little bit easier, except for the Inax. Some of those arms were a little tricky.
The intact arms.
The intact, sorry, the arms. I had to go with Jake's method and cut some nubs off.
Just gotta cut the nub.
And then trying to get it was a little tricky. But we got there. They look great. They look great on the table. The local I played with was super impressed. They chose to play Scions right off the bat because that's kind of his flavor of model style.
Nice.
Yeah, it was fantastic. Yep. So that's where I'm at. Still haven't put paint on a model, I think, in 5 months. So that is once football season's over with, that's my first thing to do.
Nice. So I know last time we talked, I was still working on the CNN officers were sitting on my desk. Those have finally been finished. Finally was able to get back to it because, like you said, Jason, life
lives, man.
Life lifed. So I got the CNN officers done. I've got Nia Keel has been assembled, Grove Curtailers, and then Sienna Wardens. So I've got all of those all assembled, ready to go. They're on the specific CNN resin bases. So they're ready for paint. I'm not quite ready for the paint myself yet because I'm trying a whole new technique, but I'm testing it on a non-Warcrow model first. If I like the results, I'll start applying it to Warcrow.
Yeah, and I just finished. Well, not just. I did the ref main, mounted ref main, and then I did the second unit of Gisamias. So that was a lot of fun. I got to experiment with some an alternate color scheme where I flipped the fabric colors. So I'm excited for the third AVB, the third unit, because I'm going to do some patterning, I think, and that's going to be kind of a fun.
Oh, nice.
And I am currently staring down a fire hose of Corvus Belli stuff. So, but I am very excited about the rock troll. I have the rock troll, and I'm working on him. And he is very cool. I'm doing a series of videos on him. But then the husks and the Guardians of the Mountains all are that gray resin. Are that gray? Wow, I can't remember the name. Unicool.
Unicool.
Yeah, so they're all Unicool. Every single model.
That's awesome.
So I'm very excited to make all of those. Then I have some other Corvus Belli game stuff to do, and it's going to be a busy time. But that's what I got staring at. And the terrain. Oh, because the tournament, like I said. So that's the other thing, right? I'm blocked it out of my mind. I am like a busy little bee, printing and designing my own style of template and stuff for terrain. So everything's kind of universalized. I learned a lot from Adepticon and from all these guys with tournament experience. So this is my first time organizing a tournament. So I will be probably recording that process and just like sharing with everybody, as well as the files that I am making for templates so other people can use them and print them. But yeah, so that it's just, I have a massive amount of stuff and content that I need to do. But today, we're going to focus on what we're talking about. So, JP, what do we got for today?
Well, today we're going to cover the basics of reading a profile card. since Warcrow uses all these profile cards, it's really important to be able to read and dissect and know what all your units can do. We're going to start with multi-troop units. Scott, you want to take us
Awesome.
away?
Yeah, thank you. We're going to start specifically by we're going to look at one of the basic infantry units from Song of the Dormant. So we're going to pull up the Gisarmiers. We're going to talk about them real quick.
That's my cue to flip the video.
Yes, it is.
Technical glitch already.
Also,
Good job.
disclaimer is I've heard the Gisamir's name pronounced a bajillion ways. I've even looked up medieval ways, like how to pronounce it, and those people were saying it all differently. So bear with us if we say this.
So I've heard that there is no wrong way to say it.
Yeah.
That's
you can just
what
call
I've
him
heard.
Bill Hooks. Just call him Bill Hooks if you want to go English.
I've been calling them Gisarmiers.
Gisamir's.
Could be right, could be wrong. I don't know.
Just say it with conviction, and everything is true.
kettle heads, kettle helmet.
Oh, we're not.
Yeah,
We're not.
exactly.
We're not going there yet because we gotta. We could go into the Fat Albert reference.
Oh.
I could not remember that guy's
Yeah.
name right now, but
Nice. That only viewers of a certain age will understand that reference.
that's true. And most everybody in this room, with the maybe exception of Jake, would understand.
Hey,
that.
there were reruns.
Nice. Okay, so we're gonna start in the top left and work our way across and then down on the card here. So the very first thing you'll see is the point cost, and specifically that point cost, as well as the whole profile card, pertains to the entire unit and not any of the individual models in that unit. So the 20 points up here is for an entire unit of Gisarmiers. Also, one thing of note here is that all of the cards are used in second person narrative. So when the card refers to you, it means the unit that is printed on. It does not necessarily mean you, the player. So if we look real close at the bottom skill there, the Gisarms to ground, when it says when you are about to be pushed back, it specifically means this unit, when this unit is about to be pushed back. So I just want to kind of cover those two basics up front. So that 20 point cost is for a unit of 4 models. I don't believe our screenshot that we have right here
It
tells
does
you what the
not.
starting value
Yeah.
is, but it's
on
typically
the
in the
actual
lower
videos.
left,
Yep.
lower
Jake's
left
got it up on his
corner.
lower left corner.
Yeah. Newer cards have it. If you have the
Winds from the north.
they do not. But then the community asked, and of course, Corvus Belli obliged and put that on there because it makes it a lot easier to know how many people you got.
It
your
does.
squad.
And in half a second, I'll talk about when you're using those cards that don't have the starting number of models on it, like printed on it, how to identify how many models you can, it starts with. We're going to move across the top there with the attributes. The first one is move. This is when you declare the movement skill or the movement action. How many strides can you move? And this is where you use the movement widget. You can flip-flop these. So instead of, you can move 3 strides, 2 strides, or you can move 2 strides, 3 strides. The number in the brackets there is your charge range. But charge is also used like movement, where it's the front of the base, and then you place the back of the base touching the widget. Same thing happens here with charging. So technically, you get to add those 2 extra strides on the base. So your charge threat range of the Gisarmiers would be 11 in this case.
Yeah, one of the things that when I do a lot of demos to people who are experienced war gamers but not experienced maybe with Warcrow, like maybe they've played Infinity, is that's one of the things it's like a learning curve is the movement is from the front of the base to the back of the base. So if you've played Crisis Protocol or any Legion Shatterpoint, it's very similar to that movement style.
Yep.
I personally like it because I feel like I'm going farther. But yeah, so you get those extra base size is an additional part. That's kind of like an unspoken distance.
Exactly. Yep. Thank you. So technically, if you want to talk about like the movement and how far they move, the front edge of the base, when you're doing just a standard movement, goes 5 strides and 4 strides. Next, we have the W, which is wounds. That's how many wounds each model can take. So as soon as you accumulate 2 wounds, you remove a model. Next is WP, which is willpower. There are several different times in the game when you're required to make a willpower check. Nope, sorry, I just had a technical glitch there for a second. To make a willpower check, sometimes it is caused by a skill, whether it's your own skill or an enemy's skill that asks you to make a willpower check. When you are engaged with an enemy unit that has intimidating. And then the biggest reason for the willpower test specifically is the demoralization check. And that's going to talk about the morale value, which is the next attribute up there. So the morale value is how much stress this unit can take. And this is personally my favorite mechanic in the game, because there's other games where you can activate a model more than once and just push them and push them and push them without any ill effects. In this game, you can push a unit only so far, because on a battlefield, there's lots of stressors out there. So as you accumulate stress, whether it's to activate a second time during the round, or because you lose a combat, that's also stressful. If at any point your stress is higher than your morale value, you have to make a demoralization check. And that's where willpower comes into play. You have to roll your willpower and try to gain a success. Now, it's 1 success if you are only 1 above your morale, but you need 2 successes if you're 2 or more above your morale. So that's where morale comes into play. It essentially limits how many times you can activate, and then there's other skills and abilities that come into play to, to add stress to another unit. And then the final attribute there is AVB, which stands for availability. That's how many of this unit you can take. So you can take 3 different units of Guisarmiers when you field a feudum army. Excuse me. That will go directly below the morale and availability piece. That first row are characteristics. So what we're talking about there is like what defines this unit, and those will come into play when we start talking about the officers and other characters here in a moment. And then directly below that are the keywords. In this case, they have preferred terrain. I'm not going to really expand on what some of these mean. We'll save those for a different video, but there's lots of different keywords that can be used here, and all of those are defined in the rulebook, whether you have the physical copy or the PDF downloaded from the Corvus Belli website, the Warcrow website.
Characteristics are not defined. Keywords generally are.
Perfect. Thank you. Yes, that's a good call out. Next, we get to the combat panel. That's where you see that black line, the 2 black lines across there. And you'll notice you've got on the left-hand side in those circles, you've got a 3+ on the top one and a 2- on the bottom one. The 3+ is when the unit is above half strength, and this is where the calculation of what your starting value is, because it essentially their effectivity, because they're used to training as a full unit, their effectivity will kind of like reduce, or it gets reduced when they're at half or below. So that lower number, the 2-, if you are using a card from Winds from the North that does not have the unit starting unit value in the lower left corner, you take that bottom line in the combat panel and double it, because that bottom line specifically only comes into play when you're at half or below. So it identifies what the halfway point is. Okay, so just going across that top row there, we've got first the sword represents the melee attack. So if you're engaged and you're with an enemy and you're attacking because you've charged, you've assaulted, you've already been engaged, and you just are declaring attack. This tells you how many dice you have, as well as whether or not your unit has any switches. So after both players will roll their dice for offense and defense, you can start spending some of your symbols on the switches that are listed there below. In this case, you have to spend one special to activate that switch. Next to that, the castle icon is your defense. So anytime the Githyanki armies are being attacked, whether it's ranged or melee, this is what they add to their dice pool. Similarly, some units will have a switch, some won't. So not every unit will have a switch for attack and or defense. And then finally, that the far right value in the spiky circle, that is your conquest value. That comes into play specifically when you're trying to control an objective. If both factions, both sides of the battle, have units within the measurement distance of the objective. In most games, it's 3 strides. There's a couple where it expands out to 7 strides. But if each one of you has a unit within the scoring range of the objective, the tiebreaker is you go to conquest value, and you total up the conquest of all of your units that are within that range. Okay, so we've kind of talked about the combat panel there. Directly below that are skills. I'm not going to go into specifically the mechanics of what these are, but just want to call out that symbol. It's like a yellowish orange spiral design there is a passive skill, which specifically means that it is always active. You can utilize them at any time as long as like the prerequisite that's listed on there. Like the bottom one says when you're about to be pushed back, and that can happen any time you're about to be pushed back, whether it's your active turn or your opponent's active turn. So basically, passive skills will tell you what triggers it, and it's always available to you. And then lastly, like we talked about on most cards, unfortunately this one was the preview card that was shared. In the lower left will give you a little, I think it's like a little person icon with the number so that you know what we're starting with. So that is multi-troop units. Next, we're going to start talking about officers, and I'll turn that over to Jake.
Yeah, so I get the job of talking about one of my favorite guys, who is the Knight of the Sacred Relic. So when we look at officers or characters, specifically officer characters, all the stuff applies in the cards that Scott went over. Like all that stuff is still going to apply, but there's some extra spice that they add that makes them a little bit more interesting as well. So in order, when you're sitting there asking yourself, how do I know this character is an officer? If you look at the little profile picture the character has in between their name and their points cost, you're going to see at the bottom of that little icon, the picture of the character, you're going to see a little picture of a helmet. That denotes that they are an officer character. And so, like I mentioned before, like that layout is going to be very similar. You're going to know to the normal units, but you'll see in the points that banner that the card has, in the instance of the Knight of Sacred Relic, it's a blue banner. He's 25 points. You'll notice on the bottom of that banner, there's a little symbol there. Those are the command points. And so you have one here, this little medallion. So you would take one command point for that character. And there are other individuals we'll talk about today that might have more or less. So like the Githyanki, they're not officers. They don't actually have any command points. And these command points can be used to spend on things. And I'll talk about one of them as we get lower on in the card. One of the important things to know when you get officers or characters in general, but the officer specifically here, the keywords are going to start to be a little bit more important. So like the Githyanki are human and infantry. But here we also have, for the Knight of Sacred Relic, this character is also a knight and a noble, and that's going to come into play because you might have certain synergies and stuff that other characters or other units have that they feed off of. So like the Gisamirs want to be around nobles. So these are certain things you're going to want to take into consideration when you start planning your lists, whichever faction you are. The elves are going to have units that help them with forests buffs. There's going to be a whole bunch of different stuff. And then the second row, the actual keywords, we're going to see some new abilities that we didn't see on the Gisamir. So we have Dispel, so that actually helps the character fight off when they are targeted by spells. They get some extra defensive abilities to kind of counter or stop spells. There's a keyword Fearless, and that's just another one of the keywords we can talk about later when we talk about the keywords. But the one that I really want to highlight is the join keyword, because that's going to be very important for officers and supports. And the join keyword lets you know how or who your character can join. So sometimes it can be very vague, where it could just be like human infantry, but other times it's going to be very specific. And so in the instance of the Knight of Sacred Relic, it's Gisamirs and Guardians. And so these are going to be two units that only the Knight of the Relic can only join those two units. And so there's, once again, you want to start, this is where you start looking at synergies and combos that you can do.
And Jake, just real quick, one of the pieces to mention on that the pipe there, the slash between Gisamirs and Guardians is an or.
Yes.
If it's an and, it'll be a comma in between. So if it's human, infantry, that means it's only able to join human infantry.
Yeah, and you see a lot of that more in the like the Northern Tribes is a great example, because the Northern Tribes do have the two different species or two different races of creature of humanoid, the Varank and the Orc. So if you're a Northern Tribes player, that's something you want to keep an eye out for, especially if you're not taking characters that allow you to get rid of that thing. But we can talk about Northern Tribes more in depth later. The other thing that you'll probably notice, it's very kind of obvious about the Knight of the Sacred Relic and any really officer or character card, is that the card looks like it's kind of split in half. And that's because when you look at when you have characters, especially with the join keyword, there's going to be a solo version of them where you can take them on your own, or take them on their own. And then you're going to have that bottom half of the card, which they've designed really nicely, that just slides underneath. And you now have the Gisamirs on top, for example, and then the stats of the Knight of the Sacred Relic below. And so now you get the benefits of just the bottom part of the character card that they are now giving to the card that the characters that or the unit that they have joined.
And if I could, two pieces on that. When you are looking at the joined profile, in this example, they only have pluses on here. So that means it's additive to all of the stats on the profile of the unit that they joined. However, there are some that will be an absolute value, which means it replaces that. Like the biggest example is morale or willpower. Willpower can be replaced, in some instances where it's orange yellow, and if they join a unit that's yellow, it just replaces what their willpower is instead of adding to it.
Correct me if I'm wrong on this, but if for the most part, if you can't see it, you can't use it. So if you
Correct.
can't see it on the card,
there's two exceptions to that, but yes,
for the most part.
For the most part, yeah. There's two. That is the main rule. There's two specific outliers to that. One is the tinge keyword, which we'll talk about in a minute, as well as there's one that says permanent. Permanent means it's always in play, whether that model is in play on the battlefield, being held in ambush or scout, has been killed, or is joined to a unit. Passive or permanent is always in effect.
Yeah. And so they give you a lot of nice little additives onto it. You also get those modifiers like the plus shields, which the Sacred Relic does. but you also will get things like the extra morale. You'll notice that it has there's a plus to the willpower. So, like Scott was mentioning, where you might have some that replace it, others will add on to it, which is nice. And the same thing with morale, they'll add on to that as well. So instead of your morale, let's say Gisamirs have a morale of 1, the officer gives them a morale of 2 or plus 1, so now 2, which is really good when you think about stress and taking on the stress for the unit farther.
One thing I have noticed on some of the cards, and this is a good example of it, is on occasion on the English side, there are attributes and things that have not been translated. So if you look at the VOL, that's voluntad, which is willpower in Spanish. So what I've been advising anybody to do is look at that. Like if in the event of an untranslated piece, flip the card over and see what it corresponds to on the top half of it, because it's always going to stay in the same order. So like H is wounds, VOL is willpower. I think those are the 2 main ones that I've seen that haven't been translated. So just kind of something to keep an eye out on. And if you need to, take a peek at the other side of the card, the Spanish side of the card, just to kind of see what that corresponds to in the attribute.
Yeah, and you
line at the top.
Yeah, and also just like sometimes it's just try to do like context clues. It's definitely helpful, and you can try to figure out. But yeah, let me see. So aside from all that stuff, the other thing to look at is where the Gisamirs have the passive abilities. There's also going to be some other symbols you might see. So one of them is going to be a green circle with like a gold star or the outline of a gold star. Those are skills. And so the Knight of Sacred Relic has Thy Thunder Be Done. And these can be used as a short action. So when your character is going, they can move and then do like a short action, or they can do what was the skill? They can do this skill. Or they can do the skill first and then they can move. Or if you're really lucky, I think, and the rest of you might be able to correct me if I'm wrong, if they're already in melee, they can do an attack and a skill. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
You can actually now, with the 1.5 rule set that came out, the update, every unit when it activates is allowed to do 2 actions, and they can be in any combination they want. However, the only action that can be declared twice in that same activation is move.
There you go.
So you can cast a spell and do a skill. You can do any level of an attack, whether it's ranged attack or melee attack if you're already engaged. You can do that combination any way you want and in any order, as long as you're not duplicating what you're declaring, aside from movement.
Yeah, and it's cool too, because like you can start keeping an eye out for some combos. Like the Knight of the Sacred Relic has a little combo he can do once he's in combat. So always keep an eye out on the cards, and kind of see, start thinking about that. But the other thing I mentioned early on when we were looking at the card was the command points. If you look, the last ability that the Knight of the Sacred Relic has is Thy Silver Weep. And this has that same symbol. So you can spend the 1 command point that this guy gets, or because the command points for your entire army are pooled, you can spend them, throughout the game on any of the characters. But this Thy Silver Weep, you have to follow the instructions on what the ability is. So as long as the factors that are required are fulfilled, you can do this ability, and you would lose that command point. And command points are non-refundable. So once you use it, it's gone for the entirety of the game. So there's some picking and choosing you're going to want to do with that. But yeah, I think, is there anything I missed, I think, on the Knight of Sacred Relic?
Oh, I think you hit it all.
Yeah, so let's jump over to, I think it's Uruk.
It is Uruk. There's not going to be a whole lot to add. We've talked about a lot of this already. what I kind of want to point out, other than the fact that this model is gorgeous and fantastic, is we will have some a different mechanic coming. And this, correct me if I'm wrong, it started with Song of the Dormant, right? Did the tinge effect start with?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Correct.
So
this was a
this will
brand
be
new
something
keyword
new.
that came out with 1.5.
Yeah.
Right
This will be
before
something
Song of the
new
Dormant.
for a lot of players that have been playing since Winds of the North. We do have a tinge mechanic this go around that I will actually point out that on the card we have what's his particular tinge mechanic is called Blood Vial, and what you can do is you can spend a tinge off of Master Uruk to activate this tinge skill. Okay, so I did do that right. Sweet. So we have had up to this point where getting tinge is bad, and we know with 1.5 that we have a new tinge effects table with the scions that we did not have before. A lot of that changed, but now we have this added. Hey, bad things happen to me, but I can do things with those bad things. We're accessing the magic. We are voluntarily giving tinge or getting tinge, and we can use that tinge to do some pretty cool mechanics. And I saw this in play last weekend, and it's really fun. And Master Uruk can also stress himself to gain that tinge when he stresses himself, so that you can keep activating that. And it's not only in his melee attack, but is also on his defense as well. So really cool ability, really fun mechanic, and adds a little bit more to the game and to these lovely Scions of Yaldabaoth.
And remember that tinge skills still cost you a short action.
Yes.
Yep. Correct. That's a good call out.
But that's pretty most everything else in the card we've talked about. But that is the mechanic we wanted to point out because it's going to be brand new for a lot of us going forward. And now
this is an example of a card that was not properly translated. On the bottom half, you'll notice it's Voluntad and Herida. So willpower and wounds.
Is the actual cat card that way, or is it just
Yes,
this
it
picture?
is.
Okay.
Yes, it is. Yep.
You know, it happens.
It does.
What are you gonna do?
We find our way. We find our way to work with it.
Yeah, it's, you know what, we know what it's all supposed to mean, and the game still plays the same way whether or not the translation's correct or not.
Exactly.
And now
You just have to play it in Spanish.
Hey, I have.
There's a story about that too somewhere.
I have in Spain.
Spanglish, I guess, if the cards are mixed.
We are now on to the breath, and JP is going to talk about the breath.
So there's a second kind of character called support characters. Now your officer characters, they have that little helmet icon underneath their photos. Support characters have a little scroll. The main difference between the two involves them joining units. When an officer joins a unit, they actually count as a member of that unit for the number of models in the unit. When a support joins a unit, they don't. So with those officer characters, when you put them in that unit, they replace the unit commander, and you always measure off of them. And then with the support characters, they're just in that unit with the rest of the guys. As you can see on the breath, she's got a lot of the same layout as the other cards we've looked at. The things that she has different, she's a spellcaster, and she has the tinge keyword. That tinge keyword is important because she is going to generate tinge for herself every round of the game at the start of the round. And the other difference that we're going to see with her for the first time, she has a ranged attack, which is designated by that little bow symbol, which is a range of 10 strides. Ranged attacks can be very powerful in this game, but that is something we will get more into when we get into actually talking about gameplay. And then the other difference, since she's a spellcaster, she also has spells. that little purple star icon represents spells on the cards. The spell is going to lay out the target and how far it goes, and then each spell is also going to have alterations. Now, for the breath, those alterations require her to spend tinge to gain those effects. For most other spellcasters, it is going to cost black dice on a tinge roll so that they can potentially gain tinge after casting the spell. Okay.
The one thing I'd like to kind of call out on here, because this is a really good example that illustrates it. The switch, the very first switch under ranged attacks, yes, the box kind of bleeds under the melee attack. Specifically, though, because where the symbols are that are necessary to spend for it are directly under the ranged attack, that only applies to the ranged attack. It just happened to bleed over based on the layout of the card. So the breath has no switches for melee attack.
And then the breath is an example of a character that cannot join any units, because if you look at her, she only has the one profile. And she's lacking that join keyword that we saw on the Night of the Sacred Relic. So that is the anatomy of all of the different types of units we have so far. Scott, if you want to take us into our next section, October releases.
Yeah, so what we know so far about upcoming releases in October should be the Rock Troll, or will be the Rock Troll, the Hegemony of Emberzig action pack, which is essentially the Hegemony half of Winds from the North and Beyond Winds from the North packaged together in a single box. There will be a Northern Tribes one coming beyond that. Guardians of the Mound, which is the new Feudum unit, as well as Husks, which is the new Scions of Yaldabaoth unit. Predictions for November, I would guess we would see the Northern Tribes action pack, so that'd be the Northern Tribes half of Winds from the North and Beyond Winds from the North. And I'm expecting us to see the CNN Sprigs, because we've seen those renders and pictures since Interplanetario in July, and we have not seen their release date yet. So my gut tells me it'll be Sprigs, the Hegemony action, or not Hegemony, the Northern Tribes action pack, as well as potentially one unit or one box each for Feudum and Scions, because that's kind of what they've done in the past, is with the newer armies release a new box every month. They might stagger it.
Yeah, I'm thinking officers. We've seen the same thing. Interplanetario, we saw the officers. So
I think you're right.
And when I've been doing list building with especially Feudum, I've been like, what we could really use here are those the point value that is normally attested to officers. Yep. Putting characters in. So
because I agree. That'll really get Feudum and Scions right up to that 250 point. Yeah. Guardians of the Mound being added in gets it to like 220, I think, if you've got Song of the Dormant, Beyond Song of the Dormant, Tzigian plus Guardians of the Mound, it's right around 220-ish.
And that's excluding and especially if you exclude the adventures characters, because while they are fun to have, you can't have them in the tournament, so it's kind of good to think.
Exactly.
Like that.
They are fun to have.
Oh, dude, Ludovin, she's amazing for Feudum. Yeah. She just heals like crazy. It's so helpful. Yeah.
Narrative.
Yeah, and Jacques Jacques is like, he does not stop singing, and he's a pain in the butt.
So
awesome.
So I'm gonna go a little off script here, okay? Because we're doing pretty good on time. We got a little bit of time. So, what is everybody having the most fun playing right now? Like, what is your energy right now in? And it doesn't necessarily have to be your favorite faction. Just what is fun for you to play right now?
Yeah.
I have been putting a lot of energy into Scions for the last month, trying to find something that works.
In a
I
in a
just-
fun setting or a tournament setting, a highly competitive setting, or just
Um,
in general.
just in general. Scott and I are playtesters, and so we play regularly.
Mhm.
And the last few sessions, I have either volunteered or chosen to play Scions, and I'm just trying to get them find that synergy, to figure out where they work. And so far, they just haven't coalesced for me.
It'll come though, because and I can speak from my point of view also. Like CNN is my main army, and it doing the play testing, it took me quite a while to basically grok and understand their style. But in this last month, unfortunately for JP and his Scions, it's starting to click. So I'm having a lot of fun with the shenanigans that are to come.
That's good because you were
I'm
really
playing it.
questioning it, earlier this
I
summer.
was, but it
It's hard
That's
and
part of the fun,
objective,
right?
but yeah.
that's part of the fun, and it's also really, really like just a testament to the fact that you need to consider the whole release of the army
Yeah.
when deciding if this is your faction for play,
Mhm.
not just the first few releases.
Well, I'd even say too, like I've talked to quite a few CNN players, and it's challenging to have, even mechanic wise, like designing, to have an army that's all about hit and run when you have a game designed around staying on an objective.
Yeah, that's
So
where my
it's-
hitch is.
You got to do like full scope, right? Full
Yep.
scope.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, on my end, coming from being the only one in the area that played orcs to switching to kind of the play style of feudum has been very daunting but fun, because the orcs I found to be very tactically fun, and you can't do what I do with the orcs with the feudum. It doesn't work that way. So I'm really experimenting with like this idea of synergy. It's challenging me as a player to really keep track of things, because like the feudum can have like 5 different effects happening on them that all will like ping off each other and chain.
Mhm.
So that's been fun. And I haven't gotten to play them yet, but the Rock Troll, once again, the card is amazing. It's everything I want it to be. I'm just very excited. And I love like that's what got me into wargaming in the first place when I was much younger, was the big things, like big models, and I just love that Rock Troll so much. I cannot get
Yeah,
over it.
I had a toss up this month of which one I was going to buy, the Rock Troll or the War Rig, and I went with
Yeah.
the War Rig, even though I'm not a hegemony
Yeah.
player. But it's just they're both
It's
great. The aesthetic of the Rock Troll thing is not necessarily my thing
Yeah.
per se. The aesthetic of it, like I questioned the baby in the belly thing, but I didn't know. I still don't really know the lore
Yeah.
on it. So, but
Oh,
um,
are you
I
talking
built-
about the statue in the face?
yeah.
Hey, stay tuned. I'll make a video. I'm making a video.
There we go.
Cool. We'll have to watch that. My first thought was, gosh darn it, Arnold Schwarzenegger and
Quado.
Quado. Thank you. God, I had it in my head and I
Total
couldn't get it
Recall.
out. Total
I
Recall.
like to
thank
think
you.
of what's it, Tim Allen, the Rock from Galaxy Quest? The Rock
Oh
guy?
gosh,
Oh,
that
yes.
movie came up the other night.
Yeah.
What a great movie.
Yeah, I built
Rock,
both the Rock Troll
Rock,
and
Rock. Rock.
Or I found myself singing Rock Lobster as I was building them.
See, perfect.
Yeah, the Rock Troll and War Rig were really fun to build. Infinity players, which I guess I am now, but Infinity players are like, it's this compared to a tag. I can only compare it to the 6-inch G.I. Joe guys that I had growing up, and it's functionally like their size or bigger. It's like a little WrestleMania guy. So, and the Rock Troll's technically bigger. So they're both like, I was not super excited to get the War Rig in the sense that like they're not my main faction hegemony, but my buddy plays them, so I build it for him. And I was like, oh no, this thing's actually pretty cool. Like, and there's a lot of what I would consider in Warcrow more advanced assembly. Like there's more bits, there's more pieces, but it's all pretty intuitive. It's all pretty intuitive and cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
And you just gave me a really good idea, because I have the entire G.I. Joe classified line, which is the 6-inch. I'm
There
going
you
to
go.
start making some nice little
There you go.
vignettes
There you go.
or
I
whatever
love
you want
it.
to call it.
Yeah.
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 A lot of exciting things. And I was at my local on Sunday playing a demo game, and I had a few people come up and ask, which is what you want to do. So I can only imagine when I get those on the table. There's a part of me that wants to push them out just so people can walk by and go,
Correct.
"What is
Yep.
that?"
Yeah.
Mhm.
When the cavalry came out for the feudum, for the hegemony and the
Northern tribes.
northern tribes, we had a lot more people at our local stopping by because there's just bigger things, so it attract it's not just little guys from far away. You can actually see these guys.
Yeah.
So the Black Angels and the Warg Riders really started to pull more and more people over. So I'm hoping that like once we get things like the Griffin and like the Clouded, like these bigger models,
Yeah.
it's gonna be really, really cool.
You really get some of like the 40K and the Conquest people that are like, "Oh,
Yeah. Yes.
there we go."
Yep.
Not everybody's a little guy. We have
War
some big
Machine
guys.
players.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
No,
good point.
it's exciting stuff, and I wish I had all the money in the world to get it all, but I don't. Choices have to be made, unfortunately, nor the time to play it all. Or
Yeah,
paint
I
it
don't
all.
know that I'm going to end up buying either of them, to be completely
Well,
honest.
Think of it
That's
this
okay.
way: you can spend money on a hot dog, but you only get to eat it once. But if you spend money on a rock troll, you can enjoy it for a while.
That's true.
That's a
But my
great
buddy of
point.
mine's been trying to get me to buy Borderlands 4, and I'm like, well, that's a rock troll.
Hey, you know what? buy a 250 point list worth of minis. Go and play in a tournament, win the prize money, and there you go. Now you can buy.
There you go.
There you go.
Yeah, winning tournaments is not on my docket. I've only won one tournament in my life, and that was the Shatterpoint one.
Okay.
I'm at that same level too. I've only ever won one. It was a big one, but I won one.
Mine was not a big one, and the prize support was like a Monsters scenery box. I'm like, what am I going to do with this? Like, I finally win a tournament, and this is what I get.
The 2015 Midwest Massacre for Infinity. I was
Oh,
number
yeah.
one for the whole tournament, and my team won as a team.
Wow.
And actually,
Nice.
I should pull this down since we're talking about it, and it's right here.
Ooh, show stuff. Show stuff.
Should we narrate this for the Spotify people?
Is
JP
that-
is
Yeah.
currently holding a box of
So
what I can
it was
assume is minis.
That is Operation
Operation
Ice
Ice Storm box, which was brand new at the time, and it is signed by the entirety of the Corvus Belly staff.
Ah,
nice.
that's why it's still wrapped. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Very
It's
cool.
very cool.
And are you wearing a Midwest? You're wearing a Chicagoland Infinity.
Yep,
I am
and he's
wearing
got- I
both
was sitting-
Iowa Incident 5
Yep.
from the last time we had that. And yes, it is a Chicago Infinity shirt.
We got to get some of those for Warcrow.
No, trust me, it's on the docket, man. We're
Yeah.
going to be thinking about this because this is not officially announced, but we most likely will be looking at Warcrow at KennedyCon next year. Those of you listening that have been, we are looking at it. It will be in May. The date has not been announced, and I think we're gonna have to come up with some cool idea names for that and start number one in the hopefully
yeah.
long line of
Instead,
Warcrow.
instead of
tournaments that
Iowa
we'll have.
Incident Mark.
Yeah, we'll come up with
2,
something.
3. We'll find something.
We'll come up with something. That's what we're good at, thinking of cool, interesting things.
Yeah, and maybe those of you that are going to the tournament, your luck will change in terms of winnings for this one coming up. So we have some
That ain't
fun,
me.
fun prize support.
I
Not
will not be there.
Yeah.
I will have some Thanksgiving things to attend to the week before so that I can enjoy my time with
yeah.
other cool people on Thanksgiving weekend.
My
So we'll just have to make another one.
As much as I like Monster Scenery, my perfectionist in the sense that like this has to be a good tournament for my regards. I think there's some pretty cool prize stuff that we have coming down.
I'm excited to see pictures on it.
I'm actually
Yes.
hoping that we'll have an odd number of players so that Jake, you can play.
Yeah, I'll be the red herring or just I'll be
Ringer?
the pickup. The
ringer.
ringer, the challenger.
But even then, just
Yeah,
throw your
Bring
throw
my
your hat into the ring, and you're
yeah.
playing.
I think Adepticon I think when I did it this year, I know I did the best paint. I got best painted, but I think I was top 4 or 5. I mean, I was out of like 16 or something or 12, but so I mean, so
That's good.
Fantastic.
Awesome. I think our last topic is for Jake,
Yeah.
and it is where to find us.
Yeah. So we are, of course, Whispers from the Inn, and we got some stuff coming down the pipeline, and the one that's closest is going to be our review of Song of the Dormant. It's a pretty cool box, and we're going to get to share all this fun stuff coming up. And then depending on when we film, this will either be closer to when the tournament is. The tournament is November 22nd. You can find it on Corvus Sphere, which is the official kind of Corvus Belli organization. What would you call it? Like,
tournament software.
yeah,
Tournament
software.
Tournament organization.
Yeah, and so it's on there. So if you're interested, you can try.
It
to
is
sign
also where you can find the official Warcrow Army Builder.
Yes, and so you'll have, if you do sign up for any tournaments that are going to be run through there, you I think have to, or at least it's encouraged, because then the tournament organizer can see all the lists.
Yep.
So yeah, we'll talk about that. I can kind of give some perspective of what it's like, at least how it was for me running a tournament, or at least getting ready for that tournament. But yeah, we are, of course, Whispers from the Inn. So if you have anything, you can email us at whispersfromtheinn@gmail.com. We're also on Facebook at Whispers from the Inn. And if you all want to go around and say your kind of Discord handles, you might see us in one of the many Warcrow, the Warcrow Discord, or maybe some of the other Arrhenius ones that are floating out there.
Yeah, I am Moser92 on Discord. You can find me in the official Warcrow Discord. Some Infinity ones I'm in, although I don't visit those as much.
I am jmize982 on any Discord I'm in.
And I am Tip S-Word. I'll take Tip Eshwood for 400.
Tip Eshwood.
And I'm Adventures Told. So if you ever see the frog with the wizard hat, that's me. And as we've alluded to, I do a lot of other content. So if you find me on the Discord, you can let me know, and I can send you the link tree for all the other stuff I do, because stuff that we do in this podcast, I will continue talking about, or I will plug that content as well. And who knows, you may see some of the other people from the other guys from Whispers from the Inn on that channel. And so with that being said, we have reached the sunset of this session of this podcast. And so have a wonderful day, night, whatever time it is for you. And for the love of Lindworm, stay out of the fog.